Hello, this is Angela with Parkrose Permaculture. I had not intended on making a video. I'm just getting ready to go take my dogs on an evening walk, but I thought that I would talk for just a few minutes on something that might be helpful for you all, might be beneficial as Portland, Oregon, and much of the Pacific Northwest is facing yet another heat wave. So we're standing here in the front yard of my permaculture food forest in Zone 8B in Portland, Oregon. And normally we have quite a temperate, mild climate, and typically here it doesn't rain much in July and August and the first part of September, but we've had an unusually dry year. We are in a drought, and we've had now multiple rounds of a heat wave. Today it was 95, tomorrow it's going to be 105, and there's a lot of ways in which a lot of people are struggling. There are all kinds of strategies and tips and tricks to help us, particularly those of us who are gardening and trying to grow and preserve as much of our own food as possible, get through difficult times when the weather conditions are not exactly conducive to maintaining our homestead lifestyle. With the consistently dry, hot weather, I know a lot of us are finding that our crops are maturing more quickly, and calendars and planners and rhythms of the year that we used to be able to follow in years past have not worked this year, and they maybe aren't working in a climate change future. So we need to be resilient, we need to be adaptable. I know for me, right now, I am noticing that my plums are a month ahead of schedule. My mid-season plums are a month ahead of schedule. I actually have grapes that are starting to change that I normally don't have ripe until mid-September. So the heat and the stress of being in an unusually dry year means that plants are going into kind of rapid maturation mode because they want to get their fruit out there, they want to get their offspring, their progeny, a jump start on the next year. So stress typically stimulates a plant to flower and fruit and then die, or flower and fruit and then go dormant. So because many of us are already struggling to deal with the hot weather, maybe you don't have air conditioning, most folks out here don't, and the intense temperatures and unexpected weather patterns can really screw with your homestead schedule or your sustainability schedule. It's good to be versatile and to be flexible. And for me, one of the things that I do, I mentioned it in a video last year, but I think it only got like 300 views, so I felt it was really worth mentioning again, is that I don't actually do a lot of canning in the summer. I do most of my canning in the fall and winter. And now I have the luxury of having a big standing freezer. And even with having that, it's really tight in there. It gets really, really full in the summer. But I actually prep and bag hi Ruth, and bag a lot of my produce that I'm going to can, and I freeze it until I'm ready to make jam and chutney and ketchup and things like that. And then in the cool weather that comes in mid-September, or even sometimes early September, late in the evening, that's when I crack out the canner. When it's 105 degrees, I am not going to be adding an additional burden and stress to our family, to our household, by trying to can and heating the kitchen and the entire house up to a level that is just absolutely miserable. So I know some people have outdoor kitchens. That's something that I'm still in the process of building, and even when it is built, that will be more for cooking and for making bread. It won't really be set up for canning. So I just want to encourage you, if you have things that are ripening way ahead of schedule that you weren't anticipating having to manage in the middle of a heat wave, or having to manage here at the tail end of summer, and you were hoping to have those things mature a little bit later, or you were accustomed to having them mature a little bit later, then I would just encourage you, feel free to slap that stuff in the freezer. Feel free to chuck it in a bag. For me, again, I try to save myself a little work on the other end. If I'm doing a batch of jam, I go ahead and chop my fruit. I write on the outside of the bag in a Sharpie and the quantity and the rest of the jam recipe. I throw it in the freezer. Then, it's a little windy. Then I know what I've added and what I still need to add, and I can just take out that bag and bam, I'm ready to go and make my jam. So I hope you all are staying cool and staying safe. Please know that Portland has cooling shelters set up that you can check out. I will link to them down below. Take care of yourselves. Don't do yourselves a harm in an attempt to process your garden produce. Know that it is okay to delay those things. Use those small, savvy techniques, such as chucking it in the freezer in order to postpone having to do those chores that are just untenable in a heat wave. So I'll be back later this week. I hope you all continue to take good care of yourselves and as we ride out this coming heat wave. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing and check out my brand new channel, Parco's Hausfrau. I upload there every Friday. Thanks.